Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Control Alt UN podcast, aka the Cayman podcast. I am your host, Juanita Ndoge, and with me today is my co host,
Amanda Ngala.
and today we are going to be talking about a topic that is very current in our society today, the forgotten frontline. These are the effects of war on women and children. And now, due to the sensitive nature of our discussions today, I would like to issue a little of a disclaimer. The views and opinions of the guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not reflect the official position of the society. Now, I am going to let our guests introduce themselves, starting from our left here, going towards that side.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Jeremiah Mo, alias Devlins. I am very much honored and pleased to be here. I am a proud Kimuna.
So glad to have you. Thank you, Daphnis.
My name is Halima Mude, and I'm a fourth year student international relations at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, and I'm also part of KMOON.
Hello, everyone. I'm Otado Uma from JKUAT Karen campus, studying law, proud Kimon as well.
Hey everyone, I'm Sarah Kisanga, co-chair UN Women. Very happy to be here and to be part of this conversation.
Okay, amazing, amazing. We have a very beautiful lineup of guests today for you guys. So I hope you're going to enjoy the conversation. So I'm going to start. War is often in the news. We usually see war in the news for its headlines on matters politics, on matters power struggles, but we rarely do we ever see the effects of war on mostly women and children. So today that is going to be our discussion. We're going to turn our conversations towards Sudan and the DRC, basically Congo. We're going to refer to it as Congo for the purposes of this episode. And I'm going to start by asking our guests to maybe give us a little bit of some facts or something that you know about the situations that are currently ongoing in Sudan and Congo.
All right. Thank you. But even before it gets somber, because I feel like war is not one of the most beautiful things to talk about. There is nothing beautiful about it. I would say Congo for me is, fun fact about it, it's the heart of African music. Growing up listening to Fela Kuti, to Fally Ipupa, Koffi Olomide, and Ferragola, who has even collaborated with our very own Victoria Kimani. Yes, for me that is very close to my heart because I feel Lingala is such a good genre together with Rumba. But now to bring it close to the conversation, I don't think it's fair for us to have war in a country like Congo where music is so much outstanding to bless some of us from wherever we are. Yes.
Yeah, so I'd say Congo is a very beautiful country with the second largest rainforest in the world, abundant in resources and minerals, in everything a country should thrive. A country that has should thrive. But unfortunately, there are people in the world who also want those resources. There are companies, there are multinational corporations who everyone wants to grab something. So sadly, that's among the causes of what's going on in a place like Congo and also Sudan as well.
I will say when I think about Congo and Sudan, it reminds me of African beauty. That's one, because these are very two incredibly beautiful countries. The landscape in Congo is amazing. Also in Sudan, the fact that Sudan has the Nile itself is a wonder of the world. And so when I think of the two, it reminds me of my own heritage as an African and as a Kenyan as well. Because I belong to the two language groups that are part of the main language groups in Africa, a Nilote and a Bantu at the same time. And Bantus are attributed to coming from Congo, yeah, and the Nilotes from the Nilo-Saharan region. And so I think these are two countries that are very focal in the African society as it is. Yes.
Amazing. So, about Sudan and Congo, let me say one thing that caught my eye is that these are two different countries experiencing similar things in quite similar circumstances. About Sudan, I think I love their melanin. I mean, they look
Melanin
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sadly, because of what is happening, we have actually come to realize statistics show that Sudan is actually the country that is leading with the highest number of internally displaced people. And to add on to it, it is so sad that women and children comprise of 80% of this.
True. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of statistics on what I found when I was doing a little bit of research. I'm going to start with the displacement that we are being told about by Sarah. By early 2025, we found that there were 12.9 million Sudanese people who had been internally displaced. So those are people who are away from home, are torn away from their families. So yeah, these are kind of like the effects that are there. And within Congo, the reports were 7.8 million people who have been displaced again, and this actually increases the number of refugees that are coming into other countries. And now with the many what do I call them, blockages of refugees getting into other countries, maybe due to national security, it's actually adversely affecting them. So that's one thing I learned. Another one is about food insecurity in these regions. Obviously, when there's war, the agriculture basically comes to a halt. So there's going to be a lot of food insecurity. And I learned that in DRC, there are two phases of starvation that they're facing. The third phase, which is crisis, and the fourth phase, which is called emergency. Yeah, it's called emergency. And it is projected by the WFP, World Food Program, that these numbers are going to rise by early next year. And next year is just 2 months down the line. So they're projecting that 26.6 million people will be facing a crisis, with about 3.9 million people facing emergency situation, basically having no food. So those are some of the maybe bad effects that we're seeing, especially with women and children. And these are the kind of things that we're going to be discussing today. Over to you, Amanda.
So we're going to start with co-chair UN Women. We've seen that women and children are the main focus in war, but we don't talk about men. What do you think about that?
Okay. Well, this is a question that comes up so many times. Why men? Why women? Is it that men are not being affected by the same? Let me say this. The issue is intensity of the effects of war varies between the two different genders. Yes, we do acknowledge that men are equally affected by war. They end up being killed. They end up being displaced as well. They end up being harmed. But at the same time, let's look at it from a different angle. Women, this finds them at the comfort of their homes. They are seated in their homes and they end up being raped. They end up bearing this burden of having to cater for their kids after the men die. So these are things that show that it is different how men get to experience war and how women get to experience the same. And that is why you get to hear more about women and children compared to men. So we have even seen legislations such as the UN 1820.
Resolution.
Yeah.
The UN Resolution
The UN
1820.
Resolution 1820 that slipped my mind. We also have the CEDAW, which are still talking and criminalizing such things such as rape during such things. And yeah, it is not a matter of excluding it. It is a matter of acknowledging that yes, this happens to both genders, but it varies. And that is why we have to address it based on how it varies and how best we can handle this.
Okay. So I'm going to hand that question over to the rest of our guests today. We want to hear what they think. Why are men not usually the main focus of the situation? Though we usually say that men are mostly the combatants. Yeah.
Yeah, because they say men start wars and women and children pay for those wars. That fact is evident on paper and even in real life, because we have protocols that sort of try to limit the barbarity of war. For example, we have the Geneva Conventions and its additional protocols. They provide for guidelines for wounded combatants, shipwrecked combatants, and even civilians. From a general perspective, protection of civilians in war zones. However, these protocols also pay emphasis to a certain point that women and children are especially vulnerable to war and the effects of war in any society. And realistically, you can even see it during a war. If someone was to burst into this room, the man will probably stand up to go and attack that person head on. But if there was a woman and a child in that room, the woman's first instinct will be to shield that child from harm. And it also goes the same way. In times of war, women will be essentially vulnerable because they have more to lose. A woman has her family to lose. She has her pride and joy in that she would most likely be subjected to sexual abuse from these people who are invading, probably. And so these particular safeguards that are in place do not necessarily guarantee the safety of women and children in the event that we actually have an active conflict going on in a war zone.
Yeah.
We've seen African leaders taking a leaf from the likes of Netanyahu and even attacking schools, hospitals, institutions that are protected by the Geneva Conventions and international human rights laws. And there is no particular mechanism to hold the perpetrators accountable for the actions that they've committed, the atrocities that they're committing on the people. And so I think that's the particular challenge that is there. It's not that men are being talked about less as victims of war, but it is that women and children in our societies are more vulnerable to war and the effects of war that come with it.
So as he said, women are more vulnerable in this situation. Women and children are more vulnerable in this situation. You'd find, for example, in Sudan, a few months ago, there was mass suicide. I never knew something like that could exist. A mass suicide where all of you decide, let's just kill ourselves so that we don't face whatever is going on. Like, I can imagine how much pain and suffering for you to reach, for all of you to collectively say, you know what, let's just all kill ourselves. Tumefika mwisho, there's nothing more. So I think those protocols, those conventions, in as much as it mainly addresses women, at the end of the day, the goal is gender equality. The goal is post-conflict, women and children are prioritized, but also men will still get it. If it's, trauma response, not response, therapy, okay? Women and children will be there, but then men will also follow suit. Unlike in a society where we just focus on men, we leave out the women and children. But in like those protocols, like the feminist foreign policy, the main thing they want is gender equality, peace, human rights, which is for everyone.
Yeah, true.
So at the end of the day, it will cater for everyone in as much as we prioritize women and children.
Where a woman is safe, we are all safe. Where a woman is not safe, none of us is. And looking at the atrocities that women have been facing and children in the two countries, Congo and Sudan, I would say it's a heartbreaking thing looking at how much we've done matters informing policy regarding how wars happen and the protection we've been able to put through now the CEDAW, or rather the Bill of Rights for Women, as well as the different agreements from United Nations Security Council that protect women from being agents of, being weaponized through rape and abuse during wars. But this is now what has majorly actually been outstanding when it comes to the wars happening in this country. And what I can imagine is how detrimental it will be for a generation in those countries, even say a century to come. Looking at what Sudan people have gone through, as she said, we collectively sit here, six heads of us, not even more, six, and we say, you know what, suicide is a solution, where we are hanged with our arms backwards on trees, you can only imagine. So psychologically, even these nations, for them to develop themselves, there is much to do before even we get industrious, because we're already damaged psychologically, and it's too painful to realize this for the benefit of others. Where in those two countries, despite them having minerals, for Sudan, which has oil and even gold, and Congo with the rest of the minerals, still their needs that are current is food, shelter, healthcare. But for the countries exploiting them, because we know this war is instigated, of course, by powerful countries. I stand guided, but I'm aware is that,
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly, where their priority is an electric vehicle. Their priority is advancing a phone.
Yeah.
And in this country now, who are the victims of this war, for them, it's a basic need as their immediate need. So I feel like that imbalance of understanding the two realities is very painful. And now you find the ones who have the immediate needs are paying the biggest price, losing their land, losing their lives. Nobody will want to commit suicide. Nobody will want to get raped. So I feel like even when it comes to us championing for gender equality, it's still a very long, tiresome way for us to go, especially where now war and weapons are involved, and rape is even used now as a means of getting back to the enemy. Yeah.
Okay, and just to add on to all your points, because I've had some wonderful points and it's part of what I had prepared for. I'm just going to start by what you mentioned about being hanged with your hands at the back. I saw that video once. I was so,
It's painful.
yeah, I don't even
to
have the
watch.
words to just express it. It was just so painful to watch. Then I go into the comment section because I saw it on social media. I go into the comment section and someone says that it's actually extended, that mother, it was a mother who was hanged on a tree, and her son was trying to come and rescue her in that sense. He was killed in the
Yeah.
process of going to save his mom. It was just so heartbreaking. You're like, wow, is this what's the kind of world that we're living in at the moment? And it's really sad because you're like, hey, I mean, you compare it to your kind of situation. You're like, we are neighbors. It could have been us. Yeah. So it was something that was really traumatizing to see.
Yeah.
Another thing I also wanted to point out, I think we've talked a lot about women, but now I'm going to focus a little bit on the children. So another way that children are usually affected is the denial of education. Because if everything in the country is at a standstill, education is obviously not ongoing. So yeah, that's one of the effects. Another one is the increased mortality rates. You've talked about healthcare.
Yeah.
Right? Healthcare reduces in times of war. So I saw, again, let me just go back to social media because this is exactly where I usually see a lot of these things. I saw a woman, she was from Palestine, but again, we're still talking about Congo and Sudan. So, but the situations are similar. So she was asking for help. She was saying that she is pregnant, and she cannot provide for her kids. And people are in the comment section asking her, okay, you know you're in war. Why are you getting pregnant? But then again, you look at the situation, as again, we're talking about sexual violence as a tool of war. So it could have been that she was raped,
Yeah.
but now she has a
To
child.
keep the
She's now with
baby.
child. Is she going to now try and abort the child? But aborting a child in those dire situations, is that even safe? You know? So it also increases the maternal mortality rate. Again, in times of war, we don't have enough access to healthcare. So let's talk about the infants. An infant is born, they don't have all the vaccinations that they're supposed to have. So they die from things that are supposed to be preventable.
Yeah.
So that's why we are talking about women and children as being the core or the people in society who bear the brunt of war. Yeah.
She's talked about sexual violence. So, how do we differentiate sexual violence being a weapon of war and a crime of opportunity?
The difference between it.
Okay. So when it is a weapon of war, it is basically strategic rape. You find that these people, they attack a community and they decide to do it unanimously to rape all women. An illustration is Congo. I think it's the eastern part of Congo. They experienced that when they actually are still under war. So they were attacked by the forces and they raped all women in the society. There's actually a video that was trending of this lady who was saying, wamama tuko hapa, now it's translated, wamama tuko hapa, we are actually the same age as your mother. Please,
Don't do this.
just spare us. So you see, so that is what it means by weapon of war. It is strategic, it is planned, it is in order. But again, remind me that the term.
Crime of
Yeah, when it is a crime of war. Crime of war, a crime of opportunity. It is when people see that there is unrest, there is no security, so they take this advantage. You find that men take this advantage. They come here, it's a certain community, there are unrest, so they decide to rape women, knowing that they won't be held accountable for their actions.
Yeah.
Sadu?
I think what I will define it as, this is just my understanding of it too. In a crime of opportunity, this is an instance where on the battlefield, the result of the war has ended in one way or another. And so those who remain end up doing certain actions as consequences of that victory during the war. And that includes acts of sexual violence, arson, vandalism, features like that. But when it's sexual assault, plainly, you can see it because it's usually very strategic and organized. You find that there's probably a troop of soldiers visiting a particular town with adequate information, adequate intelligence of the people in that particular town, including the number of men or women and children, including their security preparations, including their social structures. So they evaluate all the strengths and weaknesses, and they are sure that it's something that they can manage to pull off. And they in turn plan to effect it. And in effecting it, they actually round up people. You'll find that in most situations, the men who are not killed in the first wave of attack or something like that are usually rounded up and either put somewhere and shot. Or recently I saw a video where young men had been rounded up and they're being forced to bury themselves alive in sand. Yeah. And so acts like those are usually very calculated. And so I think that actually amounts to sexual violence and sexual assault to a degree that should be prosecuted, to say the least.
Well, the first, and remind me the terms. The first one, it's a crime of war.
Yeah, as
And then
a
a crime-
weapon of war
Weapon of war.
versus a crime of opportunity.
Crime of opportunity. So, weapon of war. I recently saw a video of a woman in Sudan, a woman. Well, it's translated. I hope it's the correct. I don't want to misinform.
Yeah.
But now the translation was, go there and rape their women. Go out there, you find them, kill them, do whatever, but then hata ukitaka kwa rape, do it. So you'll find that such a thing, it's very vile. This is, are you motivating them to go rape? That at the end of the day, you'll rape a woman. It's fine. So you'll find something like that is strategic. Like as a soldier, I'm assuming you'll be there, like at the end of this, I'm going to gather 5 women and I'll rape them because I had we've maybe conquered a specific place. So you are our women now. We will use you. Yeah, we will rape you. That's our victory. That's our gift. Tunaji, we are appreciating ourselves, okay? And then crimes, crime of opportunity. I think the way he has said, it's the taking advantage of unrest. Maybe if you're a man, you're like, no, come, I'll give you refuge. You are in war. You will go.
Yeah.
Give me the refuge. It's like I have no other option here. Then you go and then you find he's the enemy.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's taking advantage of someone's not naivety, but situation.
Mm.
Yeah. So in the midst of that, for example, I think, I don't know if it's Sudan or Congo, when they burnt down a whole village and they ended up
Sudan.
also raping people. It was a prison. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen that
I think it
one.
was a prison.
It was Goma.
Goma.
DRC.
So you'll find there is burning, people also raped. So you wonder, you even have the time to put someone down and take advantage. So that's the thing. You in the middle
Oh no, I was
in
going
the
to add on
middle
to what
in
you're
the
saying.
middle of unrest, such things happen. And even I think as a woman in that situation, you're also confused because what is going on right now? Yeah.
Yusuf.
You know, as I was saying, I think that it's not even funny, but the weird thing about that situation is that the people who are perpetrating that sexual violence in Congo were men who are imprisoned.
Oh.
So it was like, this is the crime of opportunity. You are, prison gates are open. You are let go. You can't run, but instead of running, you go and perpetrate sexual violence against women. So maybe that's why our conversations are circulating around women, because they are the victims, no matter what side of the war they're on.
And I can't add more to what they've been able to put matters differentiating the two, the crime of opportunity and the weapon of war. Yes. But what to say is rape at times during war is brought in by power dynamics, looking at the aspect of men being more physically able than women. And remember, during war, a woman is not there to fight the man. Her first priority is to protect the children she has. So now, when it comes to war, kill me, do anything to me, but leave the children alone. And now, looking at how at times now that aspect of using rape as a strategy of committing rape, war, sorry, we've we've seen cases where women have been able to run away from their own homes and villages. The husbands are busy defending. Women have gone to safe havens deep in the forest, started up small camps and villages, but where now they regard themselves as safe, where now there are no even men or few men are existence to protect them. Now that's where the enemy pounces. Now that's where 5 soldiers in a truck will come and find an entire village of women, but rape them because they have guns. They are, bodied, more powerful than women. So I would say it's something, when you look at it, even from the lenses of gender, very unfair, because I feel like the price to pay minus rape is already even more. So when you put up rape as another measure of you getting back to your enemy, it makes it even worse. And now I feel like generationally, for me, I've been looking at Africa in terms of what we've gone through. We are Gen Zs in the 21st century, but we're even yet to heal from what colonialism did to us. These people have gone through colonialism, now is wars internally. So you can imagine, even a century to come, what it looks like for the children of South Sudan, what it look like for the future of Congo. Despite all those minerals, are they even going to be helpful to their sectors of development? May it be education, may it be healthcare, transport, infrastructure. It's sad, and as I conclude, worst of it all, at times when it comes to diplomacy and international intervention, it pains me, because the most they can do, you will see a statement was released by a certain organization, or we've sent troops. But at times you find those troops join the parties and commit the atrocities. So it makes me wonder also, when it comes to our foreign engagement in terms of intervening during wars, is it even that helpful? What's the solution for us, even when it comes to the policies we have that have to guide us from eliminating rape as a measure of war? Yeah.
Amazing insights. And just to maybe add on to this conversation, I forgot to mention another effect of war on children is the recruitment of children as active combatants.
yeah.
That's something I usually say, and I'm usually like, oh, what?
I-
Forgive my language, but what the hell?
What the hell?
What the hell?
Because even here in Kenya, we don't even know how to go even to those countries. look at our northern part of country, and this is not to profile by all means. We've literally seen 6-year-olds, 8-year-olds with
Holding
an
guns.
AK-47, and this child is so
And
innocent.
they know how
don't
to
even-
use it.
They know how to use it. Yeah, but generally, what they've been taught, you have to defend your community. You have to defend ABCD. Indoctrination, and it's very damaging to such kind of a child. And I'll say this with the most disclaimer possible. Even looking at what is happening in Sudan, we've had the alleged news of those weapons are being imported through Kenya, through UAE, and you find these are South Sudanese fighting each other, and some of them are young children as well. So you can wonder what you have to tell this child to kill her own mother, their sister, their neighbor, by giving them guns. Such a child who is not even able to comprehend the detriment of war.
Complexity of war.
Yeah, it's quite saddening.
It
It
is.
is.
And we can continue on this conversation for a while. There are so many atrocities that are usually there in times of war. But I'd like us to come back to diplomacy a little bit. So, Sarah, you mentioned UN Resolution 1820. It was passed back in 2008, which was recognizing sexual violence as a tactic of war. So we have all these resolutions. We've also talked about CEDAW. We can also talk about the Rome Statute. For our viewers, those who do not know about the Rome Statute, it is the piece of the legislation that usually governs the ICC, International Criminal Court. So we have Article 6 to Article 8 talking about genocide, war crimes, talking about crimes against humanity. They recognize that sexual violence is a tool of war. So we already have all these laws. Even if we're talking about diplomacy, on paper, we have everything sorted out, right? But why are we still seeing sexual violence being used as a tool of war? And even if it is being used as a tool of war, we're not seeing people being prosecuted. We're not seeing war criminals being taken to ICC, So I think I'm going to hand it over to you, Sarah, to start us off on that conversation.
Okay, so to begin with, we have way too many legislations speaking of the same, just as you have mentioned. But this continues to happen. What I'd say is it is about promises and promises and promises. All these legislations are promising this is what will be done. But the issue comes in, is there an active action? What is being done? So I think we need to all take action through the media. Let us create awareness so that even those in power can actually see. Because honestly speaking, these things, you have mentioned so many things. Talk about CEDAW, talk about the Convention 1820, talk about all those statutes. Even Maputo actually talks about that as crime. So you mean these things are so many that are talking about the same, but the only issue that we have to address is we need to bring this back and have the actions done. Let it not be about kusema. Tuwe watu wa kusema na kutenda. Exactly. So yeah.
All right, Masado?
Quite honestly, there's not much I can add to what she said. But what I will say is we need more affirmative action in terms of implementing punishments. The penal codes that we have are not stringent enough on matters sexual violence, especially sexual violence in civil unrest or in war zones or areas of conflicts. We always hear these terms, especially in the GA as chairs. You hear we strongly condemn, but besides condemning, what affirmative action are you taking towards addressing that particular issue? And I think that is what I will stand by.
Well, I'll start by highlighting what I think it was last year during our protests when the United Nations made a tweet saying they're saddened by what's going on. And I think it was Larry Mado who replied and said, "Are you guys always saddened? Like, what more are you offering? You are a whole international organization. You have mandates, but every time you're just saddened by everything." So you'll find that there are papers are there, very many. We've studied them, we've read, we've seen, but there's always weak enforcement mechanisms. Like, why don't we have tribunals to look at that situation? From this is for this. We will look into it, and those who don't abide by it, you will be punished. Okay. And then I think in diplomacy, unfortunately, things depend on political will.
Yeah.
If if these leaders don't want to, it won't happen. For example, you'll find someone like who? Benjamin Netanyahu, the RSF Hemedti. Why are we hosting them? Or like, why is the US hosting Israel? These are these are war leaders. They are them. Why shouldn't they issue a ICC court order? These people, if they enter your country, they should be arrested. Why are they having the freedom to walk around? But now it always goes down to political will. If the leaders don't unite and say it is wrong, nothing will happen. And then obviously, if the leaders don't speak, international organizations, yes, they will call upon them, but then they also won't do what? Respond. Because you look at, like, for example, United Security Council, the veto is there. You say this, no, I don't want that. That's not for me, but it doesn't serve my interest. So at the end of the day, it goes down to political will and the weak enforcement mechanisms.
Yeah.
Perhaps before we continue, could I just take a few seconds to take our attention to what happened in our country during the 2007-2008 post-election violence? That was the closest we were coming to a civil war as a country. And if it was not for the affirmative action of the regional leaders and the international community, I think some of these perpetrators will have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
I believe so. And if you even see how the civil community, the community of people came together during the post-election violence, proves to you that the problem is not the people. The problem is the leadership. Because during the post-election violence, that is the time when Kenyans said enough is enough. We won't continue killing each other, and we'll end up burning our country. So they said, it doesn't really matter what our leaders think. We're all Kenyans, and we are going to help each other out. That's why you had Kenyans hiding people from different tribes in their houses, and some of them even paid for it with their lives. That is the kind of affirmative action we would want in such a society, where matters are not just considered a hot topic agenda to be discussed and using it as a political tool, political propaganda. We want people who will actually come with solutions that address the issue and address the issue at the very base.
Well, mine, I would say when we lack the political goodwill and when our leaders lack the interest of the people in their hearts rather than their own, at times we'll continue with the wars. Why? First off, she spoke of why are we giving them the freedom to walk around. I feel like deplatforming these leaders is what needs to be done to begin with, internationally and locally. Secondly, these leaders are the ones who lead these troops, right? Today we'll listen to leader A, and this team will listen to leader B. When he says go kill leader, group A, that's what group B will do. But now when the two leaders, even when they come to sit to the table and they have to negotiate to bring out the end, now and unfortunately, what they have when they're negotiating is, what am I getting? It's not what are my people getting. And that's what ails even Africa now, even looking at war and other things on board. So I feel like when it comes to us looking at how we can be able to change despite the legislative provisions that have been there since Rome Statute of 2011, and we are having wars in 2025, is I feel young people, it's time for us to leverage already the power we have from the aspect of, I've seen the aspect of us coming to streets here in Kenya has given us fruits. Now, what about the ones who are at the war? First is giving them information. You know that you don't have to kill your mother, you don't have to kill your neighbor for ABCD. It's a long stretch, but with information is where it all starts. Then we'll be able to reform bit by bit. But I feel like the thing that is of essence is the moment our leaders will look past their own interest and have the interest of the people at heart. That will heal our countries, especially the ones who are having war ongoing.
Adding on to what they've said, I think it's about time. We just say enough is enough.
Yeah.
Tumechoka. We do not want more of these legislations because it now looks like it's more paperwork. We just want to show that we have piles and piles of these laws, of these statutes. So I think it's about time we just hold these leaders accountable. As they've mentioned, it's about political will. And we've seen it work in Kenya. Last year, we boycotted against was it really boycotting? We went and said that we do not want this finance bill. And we were heard. There is power in the voice of the people. So I believe it's about time we just stand firm. And I think at our level, we can start with the resolutions. What the resolutions we are crafting during the conventions in the General Assembly. Let it not be about let us create, let us make no, let's bring it closer home and be more about the actions, the affirmative actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. That was an amazing discussion. We've talked about resolutions, and I remember that Kemun, we normally draft resolutions with ambulatory clauses and operative clauses. And I was thinking that these resolutions look like manifestos. I don't know if you know, like manifestos, the way people say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But they're not enhancing it and they're not achieving it, you know. So I'd like to ask you guys, since we are in the field of diplomacy, what role can diplomacy play in ending these horrid patterns of violence against women?
Well, pardon?
What role can diplomacy play in ending this violence against women?
Okay, I think that first we need to be at the forefront. Let us be the one leading people to stand firm and say that whatever is happening is wrong. Whatever people are doing is wrong. Killing people is wrong. So I think it all begins from our leaders, the diplomats, those representing. By the moment these people kitu kidogo, you're already on the other team. So it can never work that way. So I believe that what you need to do is you need to be at the forefront and condemn these atrocities.
Tadu?
That question is a tough one
It is.
because I feel like there's a lot to be done, but so few of there's really no support towards achieving that. And so what I will say is there's always that first step that we will take. And I think the first step that we need to take in the right direction is reevaluating our national values and principles as a people. We need to make sure that we do not have people who have questionable morality gaining access to public office. Then that way, if we have integrity in our public offices, that will be able to maximize on service delivery and holding on dearly to these particular national values and principles might just be the thing that gets the stone rolling towards achieving that.
So the question was, what can diplomacy do to
And these horrid patterns of violence against women.
violence against women? Okay, so first of all, I agree with him. With the upcoming elections in Kenya, I'd love for everyone vying for office, past life yake lazima iaiwe. It must be aired. Every criminal record, you will gonga mtu, it should be there. Actually, I'm one for that.
It's
I need to
true.
know your past.
At home, we've said for all political candidates that we do have, putting them pros, cons.
Exactly.
We have a whiteboard. This is us like the
Exactly.
family, because
I
majority of
need
us
to
now
know.
are
I
adults.
don't know
Adults.
you.
We need to know who we are putting into this office.
We need to know we are
do our
putting into
research.
office because there's no way I'm putting into office. I'm sorry, an ICC suspect. That is wrong. Because what's okay? Let me not delve into that. Though we should have a discussion on that.
Should.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm one for prevention before things happen.
Right, yeah.
There's no way we have, yes, we have papers, we have resolutions, we have things, whatever. But then the tribunal should have been formed. The what should happen in case of war should have been formed. For example, if you look at the United Nations, 4 years down the line, in both countries, nothing has happened. They have been doing nothing. Okay, we're just busy condemning. We're just busy being sad about it. But then, what was stopping the United Nations prior to that to solve that conflict, to solve the Israeli-Hamas conflict? Okay, these are things that could have been prevented. But then, unfortunately, they're just waiting for it to happen to start scattering around. What will we do? And then you'll find meetings are taking years. It's been 4 years. You've not still found a resolution. You know that's a weak international body, because what can you handle kama ni hivo? Okay, so if you look at, for example, Kenya, God forbid we enter war now, Kenya should have already put in measures to protect women and children, okay, at all costs. Even women and children, when you should go for, I don't know, martial arts classes or something. You understand? Exactly. You have to be prepared, because if right now we go into war, I don't know what to do with myself except running into a forest, and the way he said, troops come, they hold a gun against my head, and I have nothing else to do. You see? So with the what's called national action plans, Kenya has them. But then again, political will. If the president does not want to fund it, to emphasize it, tell people this is what we should do for women, gender equality, protection of our women, the resolution 1325, people are so, they love saying, oh, the 4 Ps, participation, protection, relief. But then if it right now it's happening, have you seen anything happening? There's no protection, there's no relief, there's no recovery. So everything should be prevented. Not we are starting to ask ourselves what we will do when we're in war. And the unfortunate thing is, when we're in war, diplomacy is too slow. As someone who studies international relations, that is too slow. And then you'll find leaders, mi sitaki hii, mi nataka hiyo. But then we don't care what you want. It's the people we are looking at here. So such reasons contribute to diplomacy being slow, hence people don't even bother to look at diplomacy anymore. Yet it's a very important tool in today's world.
Absolutely. When it comes to the reforms that we need for diplomacy to help us tackle war and crime, yeah, legislative bit from my end, I feel like right now it's unlogical. It's more of implementation of those already existing ones.
Yeah, already existing.
Yeah, because mitigation is very key. It will save a lot. It will save people's time, people's lives, resources, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, our world leaders don't want that. Where do they stand to benefit when they mitigate? And so at times you find wars tend to be transactional, and that's quite unfortunate for us. So even as I close it up from my end, I feel like there is need for young people, because we are used as agents of those war, to actively engage in diplomacy from whichever level. And the first level is information, exposure. When we are able as young youths in Kenya to see what is happening in our neighboring countries, we're able to learn from them the hard way. It's not like we need a template for us to learn. But unfortunately, because it's there, we need to learn so that it does not recur in our countries, and even we help them solve it from the end. Uh, Case in context, you saw what happened in Nairobi during maandamano. It's young people who are hired as goons. So you can imagine if we were to go for a civil war, it's young people who will be hired to rape women. Yeah, so there is that aspect of young people to be exposed more in the diplomatic space, and then from there on, everybody will pick up something to champion, and then we'll be able to at least mitigate wars from occurring.
To add on what Sarah said, I think it's important if anybody brings in a resolution paper, we should just not reject it, because I don't see a point. Because 10 years, because the resolution paper 1325, 25 years down the line, and this is what's happening. So I'm imagining we adopt a paper today, 50 years down the line, 1325 bado hata haijaguzwa. So you find we are wasting time and people are dying and people are suffering. So there's really no point, because at the end, actually, maybe they want money. So there's really no point in us making another paper again.
Yeah, true. And just to build on that, on Resolution 1325, it's on women, peace and security.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So I think another way we can use diplomacy is ensuring that there are women-led initiatives
Yeah,
that are
absolutely.
catering towards women
Championing.
and children. Yeah, because we can have people who have not yet had that first-hand interaction or experience with war, and the impact of their initiatives won't be as much as people who have lived through it, who know the repercussions of it, who know what to do in order for you to like heal from all this. So mine is to just say we need to have gender responsive diplomacy. Yeah. So I think that concludes our conversation for today. It has been a long one, but a very interesting one. If you have any more things that you have in your mind that you have had we have not said in this podcast, please put them down in the comment section. We would really appreciate the interaction. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel or to this show if you're watching on Spotify. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.